Alrighty, everybody. So today we are doing our first racking since the move. So what is racking? Racking is just moving the now mead from its primary container into a secondary container. No big deal. Why am I doing this? Well, you see, if you look way over here, let me go get my other camera real quick. Now you can see here that there is a thick layer of lees down in the bottom of the fermenter. We don't want that in our final product. And so we take the top off by racking it into another vessel. So we take it from this vessel and put it into this vessel, and we will be adding the cacao nibs today. Very excited about that. So what the first thing we want to do is take a reading to see if the mead has created any more alcohol since last week. Since last week we had 14.2%, if I'm not mistaken, at a gravity of 0.997, and so we'll see if it's made any changes. Let's get it. Measure that. Taste test for the brewer. She be dry. She is at 9.1 bricks. So let's go do some math real quick. Yep, she went from 0.997 to 0.994 and has gone up just a few tiny partial percentage points in terms of alcohol by volume, like really maybe 0.2 if I'm not mistaken. So she is a hefty girl. She is a dry girl, and we are looking forward to her becoming chocolate. So we've done that measurement, and now onto the racking. Let me get rid of these guys. All right, so to rack, we use an auto siphon. Because it's just easier that way. It creates a vacuum and it ends up going through this tube all the way down into the vessel. Yes, it has been sanitized. Everything has been sanitized in the lovely black bucket using Star San. So you might see a little bit of foam. I don't think I see, yeah, you see a little bit of foam, but nothing to worry about. Don't fear the foam. So now we take our racking cane, our auto siphon. The racking cane is actually this part. We go about halfway in, and then we start pumping until we get a nice flow. There we go. And if you look, I don't think you can see, there are thousands and thousands of tiny little CO2 bubbles because this is still off-gassing, which is good since it's going into a larger vessel, because we want to keep that CO2 gas around to keep it from oxygenating. Well, if you've been watching any of my videos, this is possibly the smoothest our racking has ever gone so far. That is all that. There we go. And this needs to get cleaned. And so what we've lost is basically all the dead yeast from the other yeast that we had tried before, the Lalvin D47, and any other proteins that need to fall out of suspension. And now we add the chocolate. The chocolate that we are using today is cacao nibs that I lightly toasted in my toaster oven upstairs at 250 degrees for about 11 minutes. I want a lovely light toast, nothing too crazy. I don't necessarily want it to be extremely bitter like a dark chocolate, but I don't want it to be, basically milk chocolate. I want somewhere in between, like a semi-sweet. So I did a light toasting of the Cavitas cacao nibs. These are basically the only cacao nibs that I could find for a decent price. So luckily, there's plenty to use in future brews. But I used 55 grams before I toasted, because as you can imagine, the mass changes after toasting because it's losing water. Crazy, isn't it? And I have also added some marbles in order for the brew to stay submerged. So we'll tie that off. And sink them in. There we go. And it'll still be easy to get with some tongs once that has gone. I'm going to let this sit for about a week. I'll probably start tasting a little bit after 3 or 4 days, but it is going to spend at least a week in the brew to impart that chocolate flavor. And then we will remove the chocolate and then add a little bit of coffee beans for a few days, remove those, and then add half a vanilla bean. So I'll keep you up to date when that happens. See y'all next time.